Got it. It's good. And make host grown up and post. Post. Okay. Cool. And then this is man host. Okay. Host. Participants. Oops. Close. Cancel. Is host. Okay, that's good. Hey, oh hi. How are you? Thanks for coming. Have a seat. We're very informal. There's a bathroom down the hall, and we're going to start in a little bit, but thanks for being here. Lovely. Okay. So thanks for joining me. We start at 8:05, just a few minutes. There's a restroom down the hall, and it's great you're here. Yay! I'm smiling, you know. People say you can see it in the eyes, right? Yeah, yeah, right. Cool. coming? Okay. Hey, thanks for coming. Start in just a minute. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. In March of 2020, I was in a show and it got shut down like many shows. And I immediately started doing shows on Zoom and Facebook Live. And I called it the ESP, the Essential Services Project, because I thought entertainment was essential, right? And I did that for many months. And then this summer, I started inviting people to come and actually watch the shows. So this is sort of a hybrid period I'm in now, where the people are actually watching, and then there are people watching on Facebook Live and on Zoom. So thank you so much for being here. I will ask you in the course of this performance to help me out a little bit. It's nothing onerous, and I'll be very specific about what I need you to do. This is called Grown Up, the World in 1986. And it's the second part of a piece that I did last year, in the middle of the year, as an online performance called Growing Up, the World in 1976. So this is second installment, okay? And when I come back in, we will begin. Thank you so much for being here. Yay! Okay, so we're going to begin with my graduation ceremony from college. So I'm going to come in like I'm doing the procession, right? And you need to do pomp and circumstance, okay? Da, 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 da. Okay, so all together now. And here we go. Da, da. Yeah, yeah, more volume. Good, 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 good. Stop, stop, stop. So you're going to start again. You keep them together. All right, you keep everybody together, okay? And then I'm going to enter, okay? All right, and 1, 2, 3, go. I was graduating from college. I was so excited. 4 years. I'd done it. I'd actually done it. I had a degree in history and dramatic art. There was on that big stage with pomp and circumstance. Thank you. And then I sat down for the commencement speaker's address. I was so excited. They'd gotten somebody really special. They didn't tell us who. And I heard who they were. They were the director of education from a local hospital. What? I thought they were going to get like Robert Redford or Marlon Brando. This is a drama commencement speech? Oh my God, I was so disappointed. I kind of snored a little bit. Snore for me. Yes, good, good snoring. Yeah, very good. I mean, it was perfect. In a way, it was perfect because I'd gone to college. I was so excited about my drama department, right? Because in high school, I'd done musical after musical after musical. And I thought in college, we'll just do bigger musicals, right? On that big stage with all those students singing and dancing. I thought the show we would sure to be start with would be The Sound of Music, right? Let's do it. Let's sing the opening of The Sound of Music. The hills are alive. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yes! Alive with the sound of music. Ah. Can anybody do that? Alto, soprano? Ah. Okay, let's do it one more time. I'll do the alto. Okay, here we go. And the hills are alive with the sound of music. Ah. But what do I do instead? My first show there, I ended up playing an 80-year-old man in a trash can. It was a play by Beckett. It's like a famous play, Endgame. And there I was on stage, covered in latex, playing an 80-year-old in this trash can. All the faculty came up to me afterwards. They said, "You were so convincing. Wow, that was so realistic." That's what I did for an hour. They said, "Wow, that was great." I said, "I don't care. I don't want to be an 80-year-old in a trash can." That's so disappointing. And so I was defeated. I just felt like, what happened? What happened in my university experience? It was so disappointing. And don't get me wrong, I learned a lot, right? I learned how to take everything seriously. I learned a real dedication to the craft of theater. I learned about the importance of sets and lights. And when you're an actor, you have to find your motivation, your obstacle. You have to make your relationships on stage. You have to create a character. I did learn about that. And phooey, okay, maybe I could learn something from the director of education of a local hospital. I don't care. I felt ready, ready for the world. And when it was time to actually graduate, I stood up. I was in my gown. I had my tassel, and I was ready to shift my tassel. That sounds so naughty, doesn't it? And I shifted it to the other side, and I was a college graduate. And I walked down the aisle to the recessional. Here we go again with pomp and circumstance. Da 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 da. Turned into a dance number. Da 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 da. Bye bye college. Da 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 da. I was so excited about my first job out of college. I was going to be a camp counselor. I was going to work at a summer camp. I'd done it the year before, but now I was going to be there for the whole summer. I would teach drama. Yeah, to little kids, 6 years old to 11 years old. They were so adorable. They all were so eager to act. I had 5 classes with 20 kids in them each. And each class had a little kid who was always crying, another little kid who was totally obnoxious. Cry for me. Be the little kid that cries. Like, that's good. Louder. Good, good. Be the obnoxious kid. Oh, that's great. Louder. Yes, great. You guys, you were there. So here's the thing. I had to put on 5 little plays with all the kids. And I read all these children's plays and I just couldn't connect with any of them, right? So I decided that I would write the plays in the middle of the night. And they wouldn't really be like plays. They'd just be lead-ins to songs, right? And I do all those things I didn't get to do in college, all those great musicals. So the first one I put on was Cinderella, right? And I was also the set designer. So I got to build the sets. So Cinderella had the Prince's Palace, 2 big towers. Okay, so you're Cinderella and you're the prince, okay? And the song was Sound of Music. The hills are alive with the sound of music. Ah. The second show was Robin Hood. So I had to make Sherwood Forest, trees. And the music was Oklahoma. Yeah, all together now. Oh, Oklahoma, where the wind comes thundering across the plain. Yes, it was so cute, those kids. And the final one was Pancho Villa. So this is Mexico. That was like Mexico, right? Yeah. Okay, and the music was Shall We Dance from The King and I. Shall we dance dun, 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 on a clear cloud of music? Shall we fly? Dun, dun, dun. Shall we dance? Dun, dun, dun. It was great. I was the choreographer also. I love those guys. They had so much energy. They love to act. They love to sing. And all the crying and whining stopped when they went on stage. Even the one who said he hated it, loved it secretly. It was the most satisfying summer after all that college. And I felt ready to take on the world. There's only one thing I had to worry about. My father came to me just before I left for summer camp. And I was packing in the living room, putting together all my summer stuff. And he always had advice for me, right? He was an attorney. And the advice was always like legalistic advice, like ways of not getting in trouble, like how not to end up in jail. And he came into the family room. He had his genetically attached cocktail glass. And he said, "Hey, you're going up to that summer camp, John. Gonna be a lot of little kids up there running around. Hey, listen, just take my advice. Don't mess around with little girls, okay?" Dad, I'm not interested in little girls. All right, well, don't mess around with little boys either. That's not what I meant. Don't mess around with anything small, okay? A lot of my friends, well, enough about that. Just, yeah, all right, yeah. Boy, that worried me. Was he on to me? he know something about me that I didn't know? That he seemed to allude to the fact that I might be gay. I didn't even know that yet, but I wasn't interested in little things. My God, that was disgusting. Always thinking about the law, right? Keep out of jail. The other thing was I had to go on horseback rides. It was actually a horse camp, and drama was just like a sideline for some of the kids, right? So I had to get on top of these huge horses every 2 weeks and go on an overnight. It was terrifying. You ever been on top of a horse? Hey, can you be the head of the horse? Come up here, please. Yeah, come on up. Yeah, turn around. Okay, good. Yeah, you're the head of the horse. Okay, the things are massive. They're huge. Neigh. Make some neighing sound. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Wow. You're wonderful. Good work. Okay, keep neighing. No, 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 I'm not done with you yet. All right, keep neighing. Keep neighing. Yeah, right. Okay, so you're on top of this thing. I mean, they're terrifying. You're like way up in the air, and they say, "Control your horse. Get control of your horse." How? The thing is a monster. So I'm like up there, like completely horrified. The thing's pooping all over the place. The horse in front of me is pooping all over the place. It's the most disgusting experience, horseback riding. So I decided, yeah, neigh some more. Neigh. Yeah, 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 yeah. Now, get upset. Get really upset. Yeah, yeah, really upset. Yeah, yeah. I wasn't getting anywhere with him. So I decided to sing to him. Oh, Oklahoma, where the wind comes thundering down the plain, and he freaked out. Freak out. Ah, 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 ah. Horrified. Thank you. That was great. Yay! So I survived summer camp, and it was time to go to work. I moved back in with my parents. I couldn't really think of anything to do, you know. I didn't know any place to go. I just moved out of the dorms. I thought, oh, this will just be temporary. And I got a job in San Francisco working at a toy store. FAO Schwartz. I was so proud of myself. I went into the city every day and I wore a tie. I swear after the summer and now this job in the city as a salesman, I felt so grown up. I felt like an adult. And it was a great job, you know, because everybody loves toy stores, right? Especially adults. All these men would come in at lunchtime to play Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers. It had just hit. It was the biggest thing ever. And they'd come in one after another to play Super Mario Brothers. And then a lot of them would buy it. They'd say, yes, I want it. And I take it to them and I said, would you like it wrapped? Yeah. Yes, I discovered the wrap desk. I love to wrap things. Oh my God, I was so good at wrapping. I did really efficient and precise work. Ah. I think if I could be reborn as anything, it would be like one of Santa's helpers who rap all day long. You know, I've got such a talent for it. And it's actually quite easy and quite satisfying tearing off that tape and rapping all day long. I can't think of it. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. Thank you for your patronage. I had another kind of customer. This kind of customer was like my mother. I never really got along with my mom. I thought she was like kind of a phony, like a socialite. She was always giving me advice about standing up straight and how to dress, what to wear, what to say, how to be around company. We were always arguing. And a lot of times customers would come in who were just like my mom, and they would say things like, my niece is very intelligent, very intelligent. Do you have a present for my very intelligent niece? He said, yes, we have Mr. Brain. Mr. Brain is a combination of video and it's got a board game. So it's tactile and visual. No, she would like that. No, 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 that doesn't sound like it's intelligent enough for my niece. Well, we have a Super Mario Brothers, and that's good. That teaches people how to respond to things and changing situations. No, that's a game. My niece is not a child. She's 8 years old. No, she wouldn't like that. Here's all of our science stuff. Why don't you look at that and follow them around the store? And everything I suggested, they would reject. And I could never get them to buy anything. And finally, they'd find something. The one thing I didn't suggest, they buy that. And I was good with them. I was, but it came into my mother complex and it just was frustrating to me. Anyway, every day I got off work and I went home on the bus to my parents' house. I was kind of bored on the bus, but I had these fantasies of these huge Hollywood movies that I would direct. these gigantic Broadway musicals and these incredible Broadway dramas where some kid committed suicide and his parents were miserable forever. I could all see it in front of me. But as the bus ride went on, I sort of realized I was living at home with my parents. I was back living with my folks. I mean, it was like I was just out of high school. What was I doing? I wanted to write things and direct things and perform things, and I wasn't doing that. I was working at a toy store, which is it's cool and all that stuff. It's fine, but it's not what I wanted to do. Is that why I went to college? Is that why I learned to take theater seriously so I could work at a toy store? I don't know. I was frustrated. One weekend, I was hanging out at home, and a friend from high school called me, and she said, "Hi, I'd like you to come to New York City and direct a play. My father's going to put up all the money, and I have a bunch of actors who I think you'd like to work with. And a friend of mine wrote the plays, and I'm going to be the star and the producer. I want you to direct it." I was like, "Really? You've never seen me direct anything?" She said, "Oh, yeah, I have. I saw you direct things in high school. You'll be good. You'll know what to do. Yeah, I want you to come to New York and direct a play." Okay, well, can I read the plays? And she said, "Yeah, I'm going to be out there in a week. I'll bring it to you." Really? So she brought me the plays, and I read them, and I couldn't tell if they were good. I just, my taste had been destroyed by college. Too many Beckett and Brecht and Sam Shepard plays. And I didn't even know what a good play was anymore because everything I'd read in college was like awful. And now it's like I couldn't tell if they were funny or if they were tragic. I didn't know anything about them. So I called my friend. I said, "Can I talk to the playwright?" She said, yeah, he'll be out there in a week. He'd like to interview you." "Oh, okay, great. Yeah, he'll come by your toy store and you can go out and grab a drink and he'll interview you." "Okay, good." So he came by the toy store and we went out for a drink to this bar above the city with an incredible view. And he sat there in front of me and he said, "I have some questions for you." I said, "Okay, great, great. Yeah. What do you want to know?" And he said, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." He just started talking. He wouldn't stop talking. He just went blah, 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 blah. He didn't ask me any questions. He just blah, blahed. Say blah, 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 blah. And then finally he said, "I have a question for you." And the bill arrived. Boom. And when the bill arrived, he stood up and went to the bathroom. So I paid the bill. And as soon as I paid it, he came back from the bathroom, come back from the bathroom. And he sat down again and he started going blah, blah, blah again. And then he stopped and he said, "Can I borrow some money?" Sure. Here. And then he left. That was my interview. So I called up my friend and I said, "Listen, I just have one question. Is the playwright going to be there during rehearsals?" And she said, "No, he's not going to be there." And I said, "Okay, great. I'll do it." And I committed. That was the moment. I decided it was time to go. It was time to get out. I mean, I don't know where this opportunity came from. It was like a golden opportunity. I wasn't quite sure myself. I was so nervous, but people I told it about, they were so impressed. They're like, "Really? That's great. You're going to direct a play in New York City?" So my friends from the toy store, they took me out for a drink my last night. They're such nice people. And I got really drunk with them. And I came home and I was sitting on the floor of the family room, just kind of like almost passed out, right? And I guess my father was still awake because he came in, and saw me on the floor and he said, John, you really shouldn't drink. Drinking's a terrible thing." Yeah, well, I've got a lot of experience. I know how to do it, but yeah, it's awful. Yeah, listen, John, listen to me, listen to me. There are a lot of cocktails in New York City. Don't touch them. Yeah, and stay away from small things. Yeah, yeah. My dad's advice. So the next morning, I took my big duffel and I got into the car with my mom, and she was going to drive me to the airport. That's how you got to the airport, SFO, and is in this bus. And we're driving down to the airport and we start arguing. She was telling me how to behave, how to dress, what to wear in New York City, how to talk to people, to stand up straight. And I was just like going crazy. I was saying, Mom, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. And we've had a yelling argument all the way down to the airport. And then we got there, and my mother turned to me and she said, let's not argue. I'm going to miss you, Jono. I can't believe you're going away for a year. I'm going to miss you so much. Oh my God, the tears. I felt terrible. Like, I should have been nicer to her on that last time. She's, we give me a kiss, a nice kiss on the cheek. And I leaned over and I kissed her. And she kind of grabbed me and held me. And she just looked into my eyes and she said, Jono Pano. Jono Pano, oop oopy doople doo. And I got to the airport and I went to New York City. And 2 days later, I was sitting in this loft on Broadway holding auditions for a show in New York. I was so excited. And my friend from high school was beside me and she said, okay, here's the first actor. And an actor came in. I was holding auditions in New York City. It was incredible. And she said, this is my friend, Richie Rich, and he's going to play this role and this role and this role. I was like, oh, uh, nice to meet you. Great. And then she said, next. And this guy came in. She said, oh, this is my friend Kevy. Kevy's going to play this role and this role and this role. And I thought, this is an audition. She's cast the whole show. I was like, oh, nice to meet you. I thought, oh, well, that's okay. Great, great. Well, they're good actors, right? She said, oh, yeah, they're great. They're great. They're going to be wonderful. I thought a lot about it, and these guys are going to be the best. Are they like friends of yours? Oh, they're my best friends. Yeah, they're going to be wonderful. Okay, well, great, great. So we had all the actors, and all of a sudden I had all these friends. I had two other friends, the two best people I met on this project. One of them was this guy I'd worked with in high school, right? He'd shown up halfway through high school and he was like a hippie from New York City. He had this long hair and he used to say things to me like, okay, we're going to build the set today. Okay. Dig, dig. That's so cool. And he said, yeah, that's not cool. Don't do that. It's not cool. He actually used the words, right? That's so cool. I thought he was like the coolest guy. He was going to be the production manager in charge of all the technical stuff and the lighting. I was so excited. And then there was the set designer. She was wonderful. She was an architect, a working architect, and she was going to design the set. And she had this beautiful, deep voice. And she was always like very persuasive, almost seductive. She was like, oh, it's going to be great. Yes, I've got some great ideas for this production. You know, it's going to be wonderful. I've read these scripts. I know these scripts. I know just what to do with them. I was like, oh, this is great. This is great. So I had a great team. I was so excited. So I was talking to the producer, Star, my friend, and she was like, well, we're all ready to go. And I said, uh, listen, we're going to start rehearsals on Monday, right? Yeah, yeah, rehearsals start on Monday. Yeah, yeah. So uh, where are we going to rehearse? I mean, here? Oh, no, we can't rehearse here. No, people live here. Oh, well, I know they live back here, but I mean, no, no, not here. We can't rehearse here. But where are we going to rehearse? I don't know. What? I don't know. I don't know where we're going to rehearse. Okay. How about marketing? I mean, how are people going to know about this show? Oh, we haven't really talked about that. I thought your daddy was like paying for everything. Well, he is, but okay. Fine, fine. We'll figure it out. So I went to Brooklyn where I was living with my uncle, and I mentioned to him that we didn't have a place to rehearse, which was a little bit weird. And my uncle is a devout Episcopalian, okay, which is an oxymoron, right? But he is devoutly Episcopalian, right? And he is devoted to his church. And he immediately said, let me think about it. Maybe I can work something out, right? So he came back to me and he said, you're good to go. You can rehearse in the undercroft of the church. I said, the undercroft of the church? What's that? He said, that's like the lunchroom. That's where they serve lunch. I said, okay, great. So the only deal was I had to arrive early and I had to set up the rehearsal space, right? I had to get it ready for the actors to come in, right? So we would have a table, because the first week is table work, and I would set it up, and then the actors would arrive, and we'd have rehearsal. Now, the actors were all suddenly like annoyed because they didn't realize now I have to rehearse in Brooklyn, which was far away. So everybody was like annoyed with me, and I'm like, it's a rehearsal space. Well, okay, but I can't be here before 7. I said, well, okay, I'll come early and set up for rehearsal, and I have to leave at 10. Okay, well, I'll stay late and put everything away, and which is what I did every night in this rehearsal space. And I said to my uncle, I was like, what is this all costing? He said, don't worry about it. I said, well, I feel like I should worry about it. So I showed up early and I set up, and I kept wondering what is going on with the money for this thing. I mean, who's paying for it? Anyway, we had our first rehearsal. I was so excited. Now, here's the thing. I still didn't know if these plays were any good, but that doesn't matter because theater people are incredible. They don't care if plays are good. They do everything they can to make them good. They are dedicated to build a beautiful set, have great costumes, figure out the direction, the blocking, the lighting, everything to make it a good show. So I sat down with the actors to do table work on this script. So I need 2 actors. You, can you join me? Here, thank you. And join me as an actor. Yes, thank you. So we're gonna do a little table work, okay? About the script. So you're my actors, okay? So why do you want to kill this person? What's your motivation?
Because he cheated on me.
Great, good. And why do you want to kiss this person? You're desperate for anyone. Good, good. These are very good actors, right? They're already thinking about why. Why they didn't know anything about anything. I just asked them a question, right? And they answered. The actors I sat down with that day, I said, let's discuss motivation. Let's discuss, objectives and obstacles and characters and relationships. And they all sort of giggled and rolled their eyes and looked at the producer Star. And she giggled and rolled her eyes like I was some sort of weirdo, like I was taking it all too seriously. I felt incredibly uncool, but I pushed ahead and I sort of encouraged them to answer. And we had a pretty good table work meeting, but it was a little strange. Thank you guys. Yay! So at the end of the rehearsal, this kid, 17-year-old, who we cast to play the baseball player, he came, he was supposed to come late and he arrived late when he was supposed to. And he said, I can't do the show. He said, my parents don't want me to rehearse in Brooklyn. It's not safe. I was like, oh, okay. He said, so I can't do the show. So I'm quitting. I was like, oh, okay. Well, it was great working with you and meeting you. And sorry, I can't do the show. And he left. And the producer Star, she said, great. Now we're losing actors because we're rehearsing in Brooklyn. What? What are we going to do? I don't know. We will figure it out. Thank you. So it was interesting though. One thing that kept giving me hope was the set. I was so excited about the set because the set designer had come up with this great thing. Now there were 3 one-act plays, right? One of them took place in a watchtower. That was the first one. As a matter of fact, the one act was called the Watchtower. Now, how do you have a watchtower on stage, right? Because we're out in the woods. Watchtower is supposed to be 80 feet tall, right? To spot fires. What are you gonna do? Build an 80 feet tall watchtower in a theater that's only 8 feet tall? It's impossible. She said we don't need 80 feet. We can have 6 inches. A platform that's 6 inches will represent the watchtower. It'll be perfect. So she put a bunch of different platforms together to create a big platform that was 6 inches off the stage. But when the actors were on it, they were in the watchtower. And it was great because we couldn't find their movement. I thought, oh, that's so great. Now, the second one act was more classical. 2 of the characters were Cyrano de Bergerac and Romeo. So I thought, okay, what are we going to do with the platform? She said, oh, this is perfect. We'll put them up against the wall like columns. and they'll just represent a classical setting in Europe. I said, perfect. Now, the third play was about a playwright who was struggling to write a play. So it was sort of a deconstruction of the whole evening, right? We would deconstruct theater. What are we going to do with the platform? She said, oh, we'll just scatter them around the stage, right? Like it's a deconstructed set with the platforms laying all over the place. It'll be great. I said, that's so clever. How are we going to change the set? It's going to take too long to change it. No, no, no. We'll set it to music. The audience will see it happen. The actors will come out and we'll choreograph it and we'll shift everything around in front of the audience, set to music. I'd never done that before. I was so excited. She said, yeah, let's rehearse it. Okay, so let's do it, okay? You and you, join me. Come on up. Yes, 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 yes. So this is the first one, okay? So this is my platform. That's your platform. And this is your platform here, okay? So at the end of, when I say go, we're gonna get some music. And we're all gonna take our platforms. I'm gonna go here and lean against the wall. You're gonna go here and lean yours against this wall. You're gonna take yours and lean against this one, okay? And then we'll have some more music and we'll scatter them around the stage, making them look messy, okay? So you have to give us music. It just has to have like energy, you know, da 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 da, da something, okay? All right, so we finished the Watchtower and then the music started. Beautiful, yay! And then there was more music. And that's when we're just gonna scatter our platforms around. Go! Beautiful, yay! Thank you, everybody. That was wonderful. I was so excited about these costume set changes that would happen in front of the audience set to music. Now, here's the weird thing. When rehearsal was over and I broke everything down, I did have to walk home. And one of the first nights I was walking home from rehearsal in Brooklyn, I got mugged. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. I'm a great person to mug because I'm very cooperative. I'm just like, oh no, yeah, here, no, here, I got some stuff in my backpack too. No, take it. I don't want to get hurt, right? And I figure, you know, if they've worked up the energy to mug me, I should like, you know, give it to them, right? But it's kind of humiliating, right? So after it happened the first time, I decided, well, anytime I'm outside, if I feel like I'm in any danger whatsoever, I'm gonna run, okay? I'm just gonna run, right? And the weird thing is that when you start running in Brooklyn in the 80s, a lot of times people start chasing you. It's like you were inviting it. So I want you to chase me. Chase me. Come on. Chase me. Chase me. So this is me coming home from rehearsal. I swear to God, it made me incredibly paranoid. This person was always behind me. I never seemed to be able to escape him. It was incredible. Thank you. Yay. Good mugger. So I managed to get home most nights. The mugger never got me. Not again. But I decided it was time to talk to the producer's father. I wanted to know what was going on with the money. So I went to talk to him, and this guy was pretty intimidating. I mean, he's an incredibly successful movie producer, but in Manhattan, he dressed like a cowboy. I never quite figured that out. He wore like tight blue jeans and like, you know, cowboy boots and like a Western shirt. And he was really scruffy, and he was just like my father, but my father wore a suit, right? So I got up the nerve to go talk to the cowboy, right? I said, hi, listen, I was just curious about the money thing. It's sort of like, well, I was just wondering if there was any budget to reimburse my uncle for the rehearsal space, and like, what are we going to do about the marketing? And I was just curious. He just walked away. He didn't even talk to me. I thought that was weird. Okay, so I went back to rehearsal, and when I got home that night, I was sort of distraught. I didn't understand what was going on. I felt kind of terrified all the time with this mugger chasing me. And my mommy called. She said she was going to come see the show. She was going to come see it on opening night. She'd seen every single show I'd done. She'd always been there. She said, Jono, I'm going to stay for a week, and I hope you can take me out to dinner. Of course, I'll take you out to dinner, Mom. Do you have a tie? Do you have a jacket? Yes, Mom, I have a tie. I have a jacket. And I want to go see a show on Broadway. Okay, Mom, I'll set it up. I'm so excited, Jono. I'm so proud of you. Okay, Mom, I'm looking forward to seeing you. So, back to rehearsal. There was a big problem with baseball player. We'd lost the 17-year-old who played the baseball player. We needed somebody to play the baseball player. So I went to the star producer and I said, who are we going to get for this baseball player? I don't know. Well, we need to find somebody because, in 2 weeks we have to have a show. Yeah, okay. I just thought of somebody. Who? Oh, I don't know if he'll do it. Well, why don't you have him come in and audition for me? That'd be nice. Okay, I will. So this guy comes in and he was like a baseball player. I mean, he was like a real baseball player. I mean, I don't know if he was a baseball player, but he was like, he had this like Brooklyn accent and he was like really studly and athletic. He was great. And I said, thank you. Great, thanks. And he left. I said, let's use him. If he's available, let's use him. I don't know. What do you mean? What's wrong? There's something about his energy. His energy is not right. His energy? What do you mean his energy is not right? I don't know. There's something about his sign. It's astrological. You wouldn't understand it. It's complicated. What? I think he's great, and he just gave a great audition, and we really need somebody. So unless there's some big problem I don't know about, I don't know signs or astrology. I think we should use him. I think his energy is wonderful. There's a problem. What? I slept with him. Like before the audition? I don't. What do you mean you slept with him? No, it was a couple years ago. Oh, okay. Well, did he do something wrong? I mean, but he didn't like attack you, did? No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. It's just his energy was weird, and his energy's wrong. Look, I think this guy's really great, and unless there's some problem with him, I think we should use him. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll use him. It was a big mistake. It was a huge mistake. He came to the first rehearsal, and the cast and I were not getting along so well because they were not well cast. I mean, if I was putting on Sound of Music, this would have been a perfect group of guys. These guys were great for Sound of Music, but we weren't. We were doing these 3 one-act dramas, and they weren't suited. And I've been trying to coddle them and help them to get to their roles, but there's like a lot of resistance because I think they knew they weren't well cast. So there's a lot of tension in the rehearsal room. So the first day, the new baseball player comes in the room and he gives his performance, and I made a big mistake. I laughed my head off. The other actors felt like, oh, he thinks this guy can act. He doesn't think we can act. So suddenly there were 2 sides in the rehearsal room. There was the star producer and her friends, and there was me and the baseball player. I didn't like the baseball player. I'm not into baseball. I know nothing about baseball. I just thought he was a really good actor for the role. I had nothing, but I made a mistake. And now there was a division in the cast and tension in the rehearsal hall. So it was finally time to show what we'd come up with to the playwright. And he came to a rehearsal, and he was he was entitled to see it. And I felt okay about what we'd come up with. I mean, I really emphasized like pace and momentum and articulation and volume, real technical things. So I thought, the thing's pretty good. I mean, we can have the playwright come and see it. So he sat there during the performance taking notes. I swear to God, he didn't look at the stage once. Snapping his pages. entire run through. Afterwards, he said, we need to talk. I said, okay. I sent the cast home. I said, good work, guys. That was great, great progress. All of you, good. Thank you so much. Good. I'll see you all tomorrow. Everybody went home. And I sat down with the playwright. He had a pad and I had a pad. And he started his blah, blah again. Except as he did it, he was snapping the pages. So go blah, blah, blah and snap pages. Be angry. Make your blah, blahs angry. He went through pages and pages. It was excruciating. And when he got to the end, he said, that's it.
That's it.
And before he could say anything else, I knew he was going to ask for money. So I said, thank you so much. I really appreciate these notes. I will give them to the actors. It was great having you here. You're not able to come tomorrow, are you? Say no.
No.
Damn. Thank you. Good night. And he went home. Now, here's the weird thing. The guy drove me crazy. I mean, I couldn't stand him, but guess what? Every single note that he gave me was something I've been giving the actors for 3 weeks. In other words, he just confirmed everything I've been trying to get them to do the whole time. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give the actors these notes. I'm going to say these aren't from me. These are from the playwright. I'm going to be very nice about it. I'm just going to say, here's what the playwright thought of our work. I'm going to give them all the notes. And then that's it. I'm not going to give the notes anymore. I'm not going to give the playwright's notes. I'm not going to give my notes anymore. I'm just going to say, you know what? Let's see what you come up with. Maybe if I stop leaning on you, maybe if you've heard it from both me and the playwright, maybe it'll get better. I don't know. It was now time to move into the theater. I was excited because the set was going to arrive. We're supposed to get into the theater at 5 o'clock. Okay. Then we go into the theater, we assemble the set, we paint it, then we do the lights, and then we have a run through in 5 hours, right? So time was very, very important. I arrived at the theater and it was 5 o'clock when we're supposed to get in. I knocked on the door. Suddenly the door thrown open by the woman who rented the theater to us. You don't get in here till 6 o'clock. I'll open the door at 6. Stay on the sidewalk till 6. Slam. Oh, I've been told 5. Okay, well, now the set arrived and was put on the sidewalk. It was taken out of a truck and dumped on the sidewalk. Then the set designer arrived with paint and the production manager arrived with brushes, and we're standing on the sidewalk with a set. I said, what are we gonna do? This is a catastrophe. And the production manager said, no. We're gonna paint it on the sidewalk. It's cool. We'll just paint it on the sidewalk. Dig? And I was like, we can paint on the sidewalk? Yeah, it's okay. We'll just put it over to the side and people can still walk by and we'll just paint. Come on, let's start painting. And we started to paint the set on the sidewalk. I never imagined you could do that. And guess what? It started to drizzle. Spray me as I paint. No, come over here and actually spray me. Get me wet. Get really close to me and spray me. Get me wet. Yes. And I said to the production manager, I said, isn't this bad for the paint? He said, no, I think the color's too dark anyway. This will sort of lighten it up. It's perfect. And the 3 of us painted the set. And the set designer said, oh, this is great. No, this is helping. It's almost like texture. I like it. It's wonderful. We painted the set on the sidewalk for an hour. Thank you. That was great. Yay! At 6 o'clock, the door opened and we moved into the theater. Now, the production manager was supposed to do the lights, but we've been told by the woman who owned the theater that we had to use the theater's lighting designer. And we were told he's really good. He's won all sorts of awards. You'll love his work. I said, okay. So at like 10 after 6, late, he showed up. He came charging in. He went right into the micro booth, this little tiny booth. And we were going to do lights. Now, we turned out the house lights so we could set all the lights. And he's sitting here in the booth. Now, this is what I'm going to do is going to look simple, but it's not. It's actually very, very difficult. I've worked on this more than anything else in preparation for this piece. Because I couldn't believe it was possible. But he actually drank, what is this, 2 liters? This is a 2 liter bottle. Yeah, okay, this is 2 liters. He actually drank from a 2 liter bottle of Coke as if it was like a can. He sat there all through tech drinking Coke from this huge bottle. This looks easy. I have gotten carpal tunnel this week rehearsing this thing. My wrist aches. This is how this guy lived. He loved Coke and he drank it from this huge bottle. And he every day showed up with a new bottle of Coke. Okay, so he's going to design the lights, right? So he has not read the script. We have never met. He knows nothing about the show. And we've got 2 hours to do all the light cues. So he says to me, what's the first cue? It's a full stage wash. How's that? It's a little dark. How's that? It's a little bright. How's that? It's okay. Next. Oh, the next one is an upstage special. How's that? Too dark. Too bright. Better. Next. Downstage web special. Too dark. Too bright. Better. This went on and on and on. And I thought, he's not getting it. I mean, everything's too dark, and then he makes it too bright. Then, so I was like edging myself into the booth. And he says to me, you can't be in here with me. You're making me very nervous. Why don't you just calm down and stand out there? I'm like, okay, sorry, okay. Yeah, show me the next cue. Too dark, too bright. Yeah, that's too dark, too bright. No, I know I wasn't coming to the booth. I just, yeah, no, I'll stand over here. I'm gonna stand over here. Okay, too dark. What? Too dark. What? Okay, I can't stand there because you can't hear me. Okay, I'll stand here. Okay, this is okay. I can't see the stage from here, but okay, this is where I'll stand. Okay, too dark, too light. Yeah, that's okay. Too dark, too light. Yeah, that's okay. And then at 8 o'clock, he said, all right, that's it. You got 2 hours to do a run through, and then you got to get out of here at 10. Like, Jesus Christ. Okay. So I said to the production manager, I said, the lights look terrible. He said, don't worry about it. I will fix them later. I said, okay, fine. Okay. So everybody, we're going to have a run through of the entire script. Yeah. What is it? I have to go. It was one of the actors. I was like, what do you mean you have to go? Yeah. Something came up. I have to go do something. We're having a run through. This is our first run through in the space. This is very important. We don't get many of these. I have to go. Okay, I have to go. Sorry. I mean, you know what? I'm not sorry. I just have to go. And he leaves. We're about to have a run through. So I get the set up, and then I say to the production manager, I said, what am I supposed to do? And he said, well, you just play his role. What? Yeah, you're the director. You know the blocking, play his role. So I got the script, and the first light cue came up, and I went out on stage, and I did the entire role with the script in hand. And I was moving around the stage. I was doing all the blocking correctly. The actors were responding to me. I was working with them. I was working on my relationships and my motivation, my obstacles. I was playing my beats. I was all over the stage doing all of my blocking. I remembered all of it. I couldn't believe it. I knew it. It was in my bones. And we had this incredible run through. And when it was over, we all went out onto the sidewalk. We were thrown out at 10, right? And we're all on the sidewalk, and we felt great. Like all of a sudden, we'd done it. I never thought we'd get through tech. We only had 5 hours, and then it suddenly became 4, but we did it. We painted the set, we built the set, we did the lights, we had a run through, and it felt great. And we were walking down the sidewalk, and we're all laughing. And for the first time in weeks, we were a team, right? It wasn't the baseball player and me and the producer star and the other actors anymore. We were a team. And I was being incredibly sarcastic, making fun of the lighting designer. How's that? Next, all night long. And everybody was laughing. And it was great. It was great. We were finally like, I don't know, adversity had brought us back together again, right? So I'm walking down the sidewalk, and the producer star came up beside me, and she said, hey, can I say something to you? And I said, yeah, what is it? She said, you don't have to try so hard. Wow. And she just looked at me and she said, sorry, I thought we were having a moment. I thought I could be honest. Sorry I said anything. And she walked away. I wanted to shout after her. I didn't, but I wanted to shout after her. I said, oh, what do you mean, but trying so hard? You mean trying to make this Ponzi scheme theater production you got me involved in work? Trying to find a rehearsal space, trying to get the actors to give performances, trying to do the marketing, trying to get the set painted when you show up late, but it wasn't late. It's the exact time you just never told us. Is that what you mean by trying too hard? But she was right. I've been trying too hard. Through it all, I've been trying to make everything happen. I'm trying to be cool, trying to be fun. I mean, that's the thing, right? It's not what people say, it's when they say it, how they say it, and the fact that it's also the truth. And I was thinking, this is so fucked up. This whole project. I mean, we finally figure it out, and even that isn't right. She says something to me, I'm totally pissed off. And I stopped talking to her. I just wouldn't talk to her anymore. I came to the run throughs. I gave notes. I wouldn't say hi to her. I wouldn't say goodbye at the end of the night. She said, what's your problem? I wouldn't respond. You know, we were 22 years old, right? 22. I think that explains everything. All of this stuff that felt like nastiness, this shitty communication, these nasty little games that came up. We're 22 years old. Patti Smith wrote a book about living with Robert Mapplethorpe, and it's called Just Kids. That's what she called it, because that's what they were. They were just kids. And even though we were 22, we were really 17 because we've been hiding out in college for 4 years, right? And everything we did to each other, I think that's the way to explain it. We're just a bunch of children. Can anybody think of anything they did when they were 22 that embarrasses them now? Yeah. What?
Like 3 years ago for me, but I'm thinking really hard.
I think at some point in this process, that became all we were doing to each other. Just kind of nasty stuff. It was crazy. Well, my mommy showed up in New York. She arrived at night at JFK. And I told her, get a cab. You don't want to come into New York City at night, right? And she said, no, I don't need a cab. I said, Mom, please take a cab. It's not safe. But she didn't take a cab. She took a bus and it dropped her off at Grand Central. She had to walk 10 blocks through those dark streets around Grand Central. Even now, it feels kind of scary if there's not anybody on the sidewalk. And she arrived at night and she did it. And it's because she wasn't pretentious. The whole time I was growing up with her, I thought, rich lady, right? That's all I thought about her. She just acted pretentious all the time, but she wasn't. If there was nobody else around, she didn't care. She didn't have to be treated like a princess. And she just sort of snuck into Manhattan and nothing happened to her. And she called me up from her hotel. She was staying at the New York Yacht Club. And I thought, oh boy, that's hoity toity. But when I saw her room, it was about the size of a closet. It was economical, it was a deal. And she said, you gonna take me to dinner? I said, of course. And she said, well, okay, pick me up for dinner. Of course, me taking her to dinner meant that I took her to dinner, but she paid for it, right? So I put on my tie and I went down to the New York Yacht Club. And there she was in this beautiful blue suit. She looked great. And she had on just the right amount of jewelry. She'd had her hair done and she was having the best time. She'd run into all sorts of interesting people. She's telling me all stories about the strange things she'd seen in Manhattan already, all the wonderful people she'd run into. And she could talk to anybody. And all at the time I grew up, I just thought she could talk to her friends. I said, no, she talked to the people who worked at the New York Yacht Club in the kitchen, at the front desk. She talked to the masters of the universe who came in, and she was so silly with them. You know, she just joked. And she was at that age where she could say anything to anybody, and they thought it was charming. I said, hey, Mom, how are you? She said, Jono Pano. Where are we going to go for dinner? I said, well, I thought this great place. There's a restaurant downstairs in the yacht club. Can I take you there? She said, oh, what a great idea. And we went downstairs and I drew the chair out for her. I seated her. And then I started to sit down in my chair and I started to take my jacket off. She said, John, a gentleman doesn't take his jacket off at dinner. I was like, sorry. Yeah, um, of course. Yeah, I think you told me that a bunch of times. Said John O'Pano, look at you. I'm so proud of you. You in New York directing a play. I'm so excited. And then she told me all these stories about people on the plane, all the crazy people she met on the sidewalk. I said, Mom, you talk to people on the sidewalk? Oh, yeah, they're so friendly. I'll ask anybody for directions. And people love to chat. I'm like, Mother, they're going to mug you. No, please. Nobody's going to mug me. Don't be ridiculous. I know my way around a city. I've been coming to Manhattan my whole life. That night, I took her to a Broadway play, a big, huge musical, The Mystery of Edwin Drood, audience participation musical. We had a great time. And the next night was opening night. And I went to the theater early. And I was going to be a gentleman that night. I decided, you know what? Enough being a baby. It doesn't matter. And I went up to the producer star's father, the cowboy movie producer, right? And I said, hi, I just wanted to thank you for all your help and your encouragement and, you know, for being there and making it all possible. Thank you. Okay, fine, I tried. And the funny thing is that a few minutes later, I saw my mother talking to him over in a corner and he was laughing. He was laughing and she was laughing. They were kind of like shoving each other like little kids, just being kind of like naughty. And she was over there talking about his outfit. She said, look at you dressed up like a cowboy in New York City. Isn't that cute? Is it a Western tonight? Are you like dressed theme for the Western? What is this? Tight pants in New York. How old are you? Where'd you get those boots? What? Those are designer boots? How much do they cost? I could get those for you half price at Macy's. Oh, yeah, you're spending far too much on your clothing. Look at you. They were laughing and giggling. She could talk to, I mean, basically, it was her husband dressed up as a cowboy. She knew how to deal with that, right? So we all went in and we watched the show. And I'll tell you something, it's weird because you know, audiences, they say all kinds of things. They say, you know, the actors talk too fast, or the actors talk too slow, or the actors weren't cast correctly, or the thing was too long, or it was too short. All these kind of things about why something doesn't work. But they're all saying the same thing. They're saying it was boring. When something doesn't work, it's just boring. And I sat there and I saw a lot of efforts and I saw a lot of missed opportunities and I saw a lot of people trying really hard. I saw myself trying really hard. Aside from the set and the lights, which the production manager had fixed, it was just boring. Well, my mother was sitting beside me and she cheered at the end. Bravo! 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 And I was like mortified. I was like sinking into my chair. I was so horrified. I was like, oh, this is so bad. Bravo! Oh, that was so professional. Oh my goodness. I love that. That was great. Bravo! Oh, is that all? They're not going to bow anymore? They should bow all night. That was great, Jono. And I felt I had to say hello to somebody because he was sitting um, right across from me in the theater. And when I came out into the lobby, he was leaning against a wall. And I knew I had to say hello to him because, he was important. So I walked right up to him and he looked at me. I said, hi, I'm John Fisher. I just want to come up and say hello and thank you for coming to the show tonight. Yeah, I'm David Mamet. Yeah, I know. I've read all your plays. I'm a great admirer. Thank you so much for being here. Good job. And my heart raced. I was like, wow, David Mamet liked this show. And then I thought, what? Is that all I get? We just sort of stood there staring at each other. He wasn't going to say anything else. I was like, couldn't you gush a little bit or say what you loved about it or anything? And he would say, so we stood there staring at each other awkwardly. And I thought, great. I'm really glad I came up and said hello to this guy. Is that all I get? Well, my mother came to our rescue. She came charging up. She said, hi, Jono. And I said, oh, hi, Mom. This is David Mamet. This is my mom, Charlene Fisher, David Mamet. She goes, oh, hi, how are you? And what do you do? So my mom saved the day. Anyway, that was opening night. We'd done it. In a way, we succeeded. And the next morning, my mommy asked me to come down to see her off. And she was leaving at night, of course, in the middle of the night. Red eye flights, they're the cheapest, right? And so I went down to see my mommy. And I said, you're getting a cab, right? She said, no, I'll take the bus. I'm just going to walk over to Grand Central. I said, Mom, you can't be walking around the city like this. It's not safe. And she said, oh, Jono, don't worry about me. I had the best time. That was great. I just had, you are such a little gentleman. I thanked myself. Yeah, look what I did. Yeah, I'm going to tell your father about you. Look at that. And you say hello to all those nice people, that cowboy and that funny little man. I never really figured out what he did for a living. And oh, I don't need to get a cab. I said, Mom, I'm going to walk you. Okay, I'm going to walk you because there's muggers all over the place. Chase me, chase me. No, that's okay. I just want to be paranoid. So we're like walking, and I'm like, oh my God, somebody's going to get her. And she was like in a little blue suit with her little tote bag. They were new then. Nobody had tote bags. She had a little tote bag. She bought it used at the Goodwill. She was so cool. And I walked her to the Kerry bus, and I put her on the Kerry bus to JFK. And I waved. I was so proud of her. I realized what she was all about. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can act like a lady and gentleman, you can go anywhere. But the thing you have to add to it is charm. That's what she did. She was a total lady, but she was silly and charming. Yeah, always knew what to say. And I decided I have to take a leaf from her. I can't be like running around the city terrified. I have to figure out how to fit in, right? I have to, you know what I have to do? I have to stop dressing like a preppy, right? Because I'm not a prepster. I'm a failed prepster. So I decided, okay, it's time to dress so I'm not always afraid of being mugged. Now, this isn't easy, right? Because I wanted to find a look. I wanted to fit in somehow, right? But I didn't want to be like a caricature. I didn't want to be like a cowboy or a punk. I'm not a punk, right? Have like purple hair or something. So what was I going to wear? What would my new look be? I decided I want to be indiscreet. I don't want people to look at me. So I thought, okay, maybe I can be like a goth. Yeah, I'll be a goth. I'm like, I'm not a goth. I don't have time to be a goth. But then I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll just wear black. If you don't know what else to do, you just wear black, right? Because nobody can tell if it's dirty, right? and nobody can tell if you smell for a week or so, and you just sort of blend in. You kind of disappear. So I went to the Goodwill and I bought a bunch of black clothing because I wanted to disappear. I wanted to become innocuous, right? And I found a pair of Doc Martens. I didn't really know what they were, but they were expensive. They were the most expensive thing at the Goodwill. So I figured, oh, Doc Martens, that must be the right thing for me. So I bought Doc Martens. I was so proud of them with the yellow stitching on the side. The funny thing is, I thought my father, he ate these things. They're like too cool for my father, right? But when he saw them, he said, oh, look at those. Those are wingtips. My goodness. He didn't see they were Doc Martens. He just saw wingtips. He said, you know what goes with wingtips? A cocktail. So here I was in my new outfit, which hopefully would help me blend in. Maybe I'd be like my mother. Maybe I could then walk around the city with confidence because I didn't stand out as some like prepster kid who had a lot of money in his pocket, which I never did, but that's how I always dressed. And I was beginning to realize things about my parents, that they always acted like they were rich, but actually they weren't. They were just nice middle class people trying to figure it out, like me. So I kept going to the theater. I kept giving my notes. I decided to remain positive. I decided to be encouraging. I didn't really talk to people. I said hello. I said goodbye. If they talked to me, I would listen, right? And then I thought I have to get a job. I have to stop acting like some hoity-toity artist. I'm not an artist. I'm just a college kid. I should get a job. And I got the best job ever. This is probably my favorite job of all time. I was working at a bookstore. And the way it worked was people would come into the bookstore to buy books. It was a student bookstore and they had to check their bag, right? So here, whose bag is that? Whose umbrella is that? Okay, no, actually I need a bag. Is that a purse? Yes, okay, good. So I want you to come and check your bag. Yes, good, thank you. Here's your ticket. Yes, here, give me your ticket. Yep, here's your bag. Yeah, give me your bag. Here's your ticket. Give me your ticket. Here's your bag. I did this all day long. Here's your ticket. Here's your bag. Here's your bag. Here's your ticket. Here's your ticket. Here's your bag. You just, no, I didn't get any tips. No, nothing. I just did this all day long. It was great. And I had little encounters with people. Are you going to give me a tip? It was the best job ever. Then I got another job. It was at St. Anne's in Brooklyn. St. Anne's put on performances all week long. And then at the end of the week, they had to become a church again. So I went down there and I said, you know, I know everything about theater. Can you employ me? And they said, really? He said, yeah, I have a BA in theater. What can you have me do? And they said, okay, come down here Sunday at midnight and bring a C wrench. A C wrench? Oh, okay, yeah, I know what that is. All right. So I called up my friend, the production manager, and I asked him, what's a C wrench? He said, it's a crescent wrench. I was like, okay, I know what that is. Great. So I bought a crescent wrench at the 99-cent store and I went down to St. Anne's in the middle of the night on Sunday. And we had to break down this huge stage and turn it into a cathedral. We worked all night long. So cool, turning this cathedral back into a cathedral so that people could worship on Sunday morning. The show continued to run. It went on and on and on. And every once in a while, I go and see a movie. There's a great movie that came out while I was in New York. It was called Street Smart. Nobody watches this movie anymore. It was all about Christopher Reeve. He was the star. Yeah, there was a time when Christopher Reeve was actually the star of movies, Superman, but he wanted to make it in legitimate movies. So he made this movie called Street Smart. It was all about how he became street smart in New York City. He was a reporter covering Times Square and he was always getting dicked over by criminals. And suddenly he turned it around and became street smart, became somebody who could function in New York City. And his name in the movie, his character's name was John Fisher. I thought, wow, if Superman can do it, I can do it. I was inspired. And he didn't worry about being cool or trying too hard. He just made it. There was a cast party, closing night. I went and watched the show. And, you know, it was the final show. There are no more notes to give. And I thought, oh, It's not good. I don't know why it isn't good. Maybe it's the plays. Maybe it's the way we worked. Maybe it's the wrong actors. Maybe I'm the wrong director. I don't know. But it never worked. It never worked. We had a cast party up in Harlem. I'd never been to Harlem before. I was so excited. And we're at the party, and I drank too much. And if people can remember things, they probably remember a bunch of stupid ass things I did. Again, just kids, right? Ah. And I sat down with my friend, the production manager, and I said, "Oh, God, that was so bad. I have no talent. I have none. I'm without ability. What the fuck was I doing? That sucked." He said, "Well, there were some good things." No, there was nothing good. It was all bad. It was all horrible. It was fucked up. No, there were some good things. There were two good things. I said, "What?" He said, "The baseball player. The baseball player was great." I said, "Yeah, the baseball player was great. Yeah." And he said, "Then there was that day when the actor left and you had to take over his role and you played his whole role for the entire show. And suddenly the whole show made sense to me. I saw what your concept was. I saw you going through the blocking. I saw the motivation. I saw what you wanted from the other characters. I saw the relationship. I saw that. I saw your character. And I realized watching it that if you could have gotten the actors to do what you were doing, it would have been great." "Yeah, but how do you do that? How do you get them to do what I was doing?" He said, "That's the trick, right? Getting them to do what you want them to do without them realizing that you got them to do it." I got super drunk that night, and I went over to a window, which was the light well for this apartment building. And I actually threw up out the window. And I did it twice. And I didn't clean it up. I just barfed into their light well. And I went home, and that was the end of the show. 1986 was a big year in New York City. That's when crack really took off here. Also, hip hop music took off here too. Yeah, a bad thing and a good thing. It was also 87, while I was still here, was the year that Andy Warhol died. He actually died. He was 58 years old, relatively young man. And it was very sad, but in a way it was cool because Andy Warhol defined what cool was. And they said that when he died, there was nobody to say who cool was anymore. And so I could be cool because Andy Warhol was dead. There wasn't anybody to say that I wasn't cool anymore. Basquiat was painting his paintings, revolutionizing art. He captured 1986 beautifully. And I didn't even realize that at the time I hated his artwork. And now I think it's incredible. It captures the street. It is phenomenal. He died 2 years later. And Charles Ludlam, the artistic director of the Ridiculous Theatrical Company, a queer drag artist who wrote, directed, and starred in all of his plays, died of AIDS. He's 43 years old. And across the street from his theater on Sheridan Square was a bar called Marie's Crisis. And the next play I did was an opera. I was the stage manager, and I didn't try too hard on that. As a matter of fact, the director said to me at one point, he said, "Could you turn it up a bit? Could you get on top of things?" I thought, cool, great. I'm doing the right stuff. I'm not trying too hard anymore. I'm becoming like everybody else. And this actor who was in the show, actually, he was a singer. He was a tenor, a beautiful tenor. He knew I was into musical comedy. So he took me to Marie's Crisis, which was this gay bar. And we sang show tunes. You just sit there and sing show tunes. You can still go there today. It was incredible. I felt like I found myself. And I also began to realize huh? These are my people, gay people who like musicals. And that was also the year that Larry Kramer got incredibly frustrated with how many gay people were dying of AIDS. And right here in this building, the Gay Center, Nora Ephron was going to talk to a bunch of gay activists, right? But she couldn't do it. She got sick or she had a conflict or something. So instead of canceling it, she invited Larry Kramer to come down and talk to the activists. Larry Kramer came down and talked to them. He was furious. He was railing against the city government, against Ed Koch, against the state government, against Nancy Reagan, the federal government, against Ronald Reagan Jr., who he said was gay. He was furious. And a woman in the audience stood up and said, act up, fight back, fight AIDS, act up, fight back, fight AIDS, join me. Act up, fight back, fight AIDS, chant it, act up, fight back, fight AIDS, act up, fight back, fight AIDS. It might have happened right here in this room. ACT UP was born, and AIDS activism was on the rise. I guess one of the things that embarrasses me the most is that through all this, I was so wrapped up in my own shit that I didn't really notice any of it. It's just something else happening in this city. I do remember the day that Charles Lepham died. He was on the front page of the New York Times, 43-year-old Charles Lepham. He was so loved by the theatrical community. He actually was the first prominent gay man to make it above the fold in the New York Times. And a lot of people in the country didn't even know who he was, but he was loved in New York. And I regretted that I never went and saw him perform. My friend, the producer, Star, called me up a few months later and she said, I think you're being really immature. I don't know why you blame me for everything. I don't know why we can't just be friends. She left me that message and I thought, she's right. I'm still being a baby about this. But I didn't know what to say to her. So I didn't call her back. Many years later, I did. And we never discussed it. And in the 90s, we were in a bookstore in Los Angeles looking at books, and a friend of hers came up to us and he said, how do you two know each other? And so, we know each other from high school. And she said, oh, God. And then we did these horrible plays in New York. I thought, well, good. At least she knows they were horrible. And then she talked about them. And I realized that in her mind, it was the plays. It wasn't anything I'd done. I said, well, it's good I didn't talk to her about it. Because here I've been feeling awful about all this. And in fact, in her brain, it was always the plays. And she's the one who found the plays. So just kids. That's all we were. And I think sometimes now, I'm still capable of all of that stuff. But the good thing now is I think I apologize for it quicker. I recover faster. I don't stop talking to people like I used to. I don't barf out windows anymore. It's ridiculous. I know when to stop drinking. I feel like we're all still just kids, but we know how to clean up our mess faster. That's the only difference. Thank you so much for joining me. Yay! Woo! Let's hear it for our lighting design. Yay! Thanks for being here. You guys were great. Thank you for participating. Couldn't have done it without you. The tables kind of collapsed, didn't they? I have to talk to the center about those tables. No, something different. New one every week. Yeah. What's that? Every week. I think it's 74. Yeah. I work off an outline and I just rehearse it over and over again. So it's semi improvised, but it's pretty, I stick to the outline. I don't, I try not to skip things. I go back to the outline. What's that? It was on Zoom and Facebook Live. You can zoom in. Yeah. What's that? I thought I did. I'm telling people constantly. Oh,